Right now, your body is quietly falling apart, not in a way you can see, not in a way you feel, but it's happening anyway. Cells are dying. DNA is copying itself imperfectly. Tiny systems that keep you upright, thinking, breathing, are wearing down, one microscopic failure at a time. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is broken. This is just how being alive works. And you weren't thinking about any of this until I said it. That's not an accident. We've built our entire lives around not noticing what's happening underneath us. We keep busy. We fill the silence. We scroll, plan, optimize, distract. Because the moment you slow down enough to actually notice what your body is doing, something uncomfortable surfaces. Not panic, not sadness, awareness. This isn't a story meant to scare you or push you into despair. It's not about giving up. It's about something far more unsettling and far more honest. It's about what happens when you stop pretending you're exempt from the only rule that has never been broken. Everything ends. That phrase gets tossed around so often it loses its weight. But stripped of poetry, stripped of comfort, stripped of belief, it becomes something very concrete. Every atom in your body is temporary. The calcium in your bones will scatter. The iron in your blood will rust back into the world. The carbon that makes you recognizable as you will belong to soil, air, plants, and organisms that will never know your name. This isn't philosophy. This is chemistry. Right now, those elements are arranged into a pattern complex enough to think, to feel, to worry, to wonder why you're watching this. Later, they won't be. The universe doesn't destroy matter. It reassigns it. You're not disappearing. You're being redistributed. Knowing this, humans do what humans have always done. We resist. We chase permanence in places where permanence doesn't exist. We sculpt our bodies as if muscle could negotiate with entropy. We collect achievements, titles, followers, money, believing accumulation equals protection. We build identities, careers, legacies, hoping our name will linger longer than our nervous system. None of this is foolish. It's survival psychology. We're trying to leave marks on a surface that constantly resets itself. But here's the part we avoid admitting. Matter doesn't care who you were. Atoms don't preserve meaning. Identity is a story your brain tells itself, and stories end when the narrator goes silent. Death isn't a glitch in existence. It isn't a malfunction or a punishment or a cosmic mistake. Death is the default. Life is the temporary exception. Your body is a high-energy system running against entropy. Your heart beats roughly 100,000 times a day. Your lungs pull in thousands of liters of air. Your brain fires billions of signals per second, holding together memory, identity, fear, desire. All of that requires constant energy. And eventually, the energy runs out. Not because something went wrong, because that's how physics works. The moment energy stops flowing, order collapses. Organization dissolves. Death isn't chaos invading life. It's life no longer being actively maintained. Entropy resumes its job. What's strange is how little we allow ourselves to sit with this. We talk about death when it's sanitized, in hospitals, in statistics, in movies, in someone else's tragedy, but almost never as something actively happening inside us. We don't stand in front of mirrors and say, this face will decay. We don't sip coffee and think, this consciousness is rented. We don't plan our futures while acknowledging that none of our plans survive biology. Instead, we made death taboo. Not because it's rare, but because it refuses negotiation. You can't outwork it. You can't outperform it. You can't upgrade out of it. And the human mind hates what it cannot bargain with. So we distract ourselves with progress. We map the genome, photograph black holes, edit genes, extend lifespans, build machines that mimic thought. We know how stars burn and how cells divide and how the universe began. But we still cannot tell you what happens at the exact moment consciousness ends. No verified data, no repeatable experiments, no reliable testimony. That silence terrifies us. So we fill it with stories, afterlives, reincarnation, judgment, meaning systems that promise continuity beyond biology, not necessarily because they're false, but because uncertainty is unbearable to a mind designed to seek explanation. What if consciousness doesn't go anywhere? What if it doesn't transition? What if it simply stops? We can imagine pain, we can imagine loss, we cannot imagine non-experience, and that cognitive dead end is where fear lives. But death isn't the only thing dismantling us. Your mind itself is not a safe place. It replays moments you wish were erased. It constructs futures designed to hurt you preemptively. It ruminates, catastrophizes, loops. It creates suffering without external cause, and then expects you to function anyway. There's no blood, no bruise, no scan that shows it. So you perform, you smile, you work, you respond. You exist in a world that treats consciousness as weightless. Even though carrying it is exhausting, some people don't die suddenly, they fade. They shrink into survival mode, alive but hollow, functional but absent. And because there's no visible damage, no one notices. This is a quiet violence, one that accumulates daily. And beyond biology and psychology, there's structure. People don't just die because bodies fail. They die because systems fail them. Medicine exists but costs too much. Food exists but isn't accessible. Safety exists but isn't evenly distributed. Lifespan is shaped more by zip code than by willpower. Some people are born with time on their side. Others inherit countdowns before they can even speak. Death is not fair. It follows statistics, not motivation. So where does that leave us? If everything ends, if nothing lasts, why care at all? Maybe the mistake is looking for meaning where permanence is required. Maybe meaning was never meant to be eternal. Maybe it's local, temporary, fragile. Moments that don't justify existence, just soften it. Connections that don't transcend time, just interrupt loneliness. Presence without explanation. Not legacy, not salvation, attention, actually being here, not anesthetized by distraction, not numbed by future fantasies or past regrets, just conscious inside the moment that's already leaving. Because here's the paradox. If life were infinite, nothing would matter. No urgency, no weight, no reason to choose now. Everything could wait forever. It's because time is limited that moments cut deep. It's because everything ends that anything feels real. When consciousness finally stops, there won't be fear. Fear requires anticipation. There won't be regret. Regret requires memory. There won't be relief or sadness or peace as an experience. There will just be completion. And maybe that's not tragic. Maybe the task isn't to defeat death. Maybe it's to refuse to sleepwalk while waiting for it. Not to be immortal, just to be present. Not to be remembered, just to actually live while you're here. Ashes return to ashes. Dust returns to dust. But right now, before that redistribution happens, you're aware. And awareness, however heavy, is still something. And that might be enough.